My name is Layla Nelson, and I'm a 30-year-old graphic designer living in Seattle, where the city's pulse of tech and art fuels my work. I've spent years carving my own path, far from the gilded cage of my parents' Queen Anne mansion, where their real estate empire casts a long shadow. I built my career designing for nonprofits, pouring my heart into visuals that tell stories of hope, all without touching the trust fund they dangled like a leash. When I met Lucas Nguyen, a data scientist with a quiet brilliance and a smile that felt like home, I knew I'd found my partner in every sense. His working-class roots in Tacoma, his parents' sacrifices for his education, mirrored my own hunger to prove myself. We were engaged 6 months ago, his simple, handcrafted ring a promise of a life built on love, not status. Last week, I stood in the hallway of my Capitol Hill studio, phone pressed to my ear, my heart sinking as my mother's voice came through, smooth as ever but sharp with finality. Layla, we canceled the Olympic View Pavilion reservation. It's simply too expensive. My engagement party, planned for this Saturday, was supposed to be my dream, a night where my worlds, Lucas's and mine, could merge under the venue's stunning Puget Sound views. I'd dreamed of celebrating there since I was a teenager, sketching its sleek lines in my notebooks. We sent invitations weeks ago, I said, my voice tight, stepping away from my desk to avoid my coworkers' curious glances. We already paid a deposit. It's not just the cost, dear, my mother replied, her tone practiced, like she was declining a charity gala. Your father and I think a smaller venue, perhaps a restaurant's back room, would be more suitable for Lucas's background. The words hit like a slap. Lucas, who'd built an AI startup from nothing, who'd won my heart with his kindness and vision, wasn't suitable because he didn't wear tailored suits or flaunt a pedigree. My face burned with anger, but I ended the call, promising to discuss it later, knowing they'd already made up their minds. Back at my desk, a text from my sister, Claire, lit up my phone. Mom told me about the pavilion. So sorry, but she's upgrading my promotion party to make up for the family embarrassment. Isn't that great? My stomach twisted. They hadn't canceled for cost. They were ashamed of Lucas, of me, of the life I'd chosen. Growing up in the Nelson family meant living under a microscope, every choice judged against the backdrop of my parents' Seattle empire. My father, Richard, built Nelson Realty through handshakes at yacht clubs and exclusive dinners, while my mother, Susan, curated our family's image, her name gracing every major arts board in the city. Claire, 2 years younger, was their perfect reflection, polished, ambitious, chasing a VP role at Dad's firm with a smile that never faltered. I was the outlier, the daughter who traded sororities for late nights designing flyers for community centers, who chose a modest Capitol Hill apartment over their sprawling estate. I thought they respected my independence, even if they didn't understand it. I was wrong. Lucas changed everything. We met at a tech art event, where I presented designs for a sustainable urban project, and he asked questions that cut straight to the heart of my work. In his faded jacket and scuffed sneakers, he stood out among the tech bros, his curiosity genuine, his laugh warm. Over coffee that stretched into dinner, I learned about his Tacoma childhood, his parents' long hours as a mechanic and a grocery clerk, his scholarships to MIT. He was building an AI startup to predict environmental impacts, a dream as big as his heart. When I brought him to meet my parents, the air grew heavy. My father grilled him about his prospects, smirking at his state school degree. My mother whispered later, he's charming, Layla, but so unpolished. I thought they'd warm to him, see the man who made me feel seen. Instead, when Lucas proposed under a Fremont Street mural, his ring etched with a tiny wave for Puget Sound, they suggested a long engagement to really know him. The cancellation of our party at the Olympic View Pavilion was their final verdict. Lucas wasn't good enough for their world, and maybe neither was I. 3 days after the cancellation, I drove to my parents' Queen Anne mansion, needing answers but dreading the fight. I'd been dodging their calls, my anger simmering like a Puget Sound storm. As I pulled into their driveway, I spotted extra cars, my aunt's Lexus, my father's partner's Tesla, and Claire's Audi. Inside, I found them in the glass-walled sunroom, surrounded by catering menus and floral sketches. My mother was mid-sentence, gesturing at a layout. The Olympic View Pavilion's waterfront view is perfect for Claire's promotion party. My heart stopped. The same venue they deemed too expensive for me was now theirs for Claire. "What is this?" I asked, my voice slicing through their chatter. 5 faces turned, my mother's smile flickering before she recovered. "Layla, we didn't expect you. We're planning Claire's celebration at the pavilion." The words felt like a betrayal carved in stone. "Available because you canceled my party?" I said, my calm masking the fury inside. My father adjusted his tie, standing. "Let's discuss this privately." "No," I snapped. "You canceled my engagement party, said it was too costly, then booked the same place for Claire." "Explain." My mother's society smile didn't waver. "Claire's event aligns with our network, Layla. The pavilion suits her guests, your father's investors, our friends." The implication was clear. My celebration, tied to Lucas, didn't measure up. Claire looked down, ashamed but silent. "You're embarrassed of Lucas," I said, my voice steady despite the ache. "You think he's beneath us?" My father sighed. "He's a nice boy, Layla, but he has no connections, no status. He's not right for our family." The words cut deeper than I'd expected, exposing the truth. Their love came with conditions I could never meet. That night, in my Capitol Hill apartment, I sat on the couch with Lucas, tears blurring my vision as I recounted the confrontation. His dark eyes held more sadness than anger, his hand warm around mine. "I'm sorry they hurt you," he said softly. "I thought they'd at least try to know me." His calm broke my heart further. They didn't deserve him. "Let's throw our own party," I said suddenly, the idea sparking through my pain. Something real, not their version of perfect. Lucas hesitated. "This is your family, Layla. I don't want to drive a wedge." "They did that themselves," I insisted. "Let's celebrate us our way." Over the next 2 days, I poured my energy into planning. I booked a rooftop at a Fremont brewery, its string lights and city views far warmer than the pavilion's cold elegance. I designed digital invitations, each one a watercolor of Seattle's skyline, reflecting the life Lucas and I were building. Friends RSVP'd with excitement, their support a balm to my wounds. Lucas helped, his quiet optimism steadying me. His own hurt, his parents had embraced me instantly, only fueled my resolve. This party would be ours, free of my family's judgment. But as I finalized details, a call from Claire shifted the ground again. "Mom invited the Caldwells to my party," she said, voice tense. Ethan Caldwell, her ex, came from a banking dynasty my parents adored. She told my boyfriend, Nate, the party was canceled, but really, she excluded him to push Ethan. I recognized the manipulation, a mirror of my own betrayal. "Come to our party instead," I urged. "Bring Nate." Claire paused, then sighed. "I can't. Dad's announcing my VP role. I need this, Layla." Her choice stung, but it clarified everything. She'd trade her heart for their approval, just as they wanted me to. Saturday morning, the day our engagement party should have been, I woke to find Lucas on our balcony, coffee in hand, staring at the Seattle skyline. "What if we go to Claire's party?" he said, his voice thoughtful. I nearly spilled my mug. "Why?" "They'll humiliate us." He turned, his gaze steady. "Hiding feels like letting them win. Showing up, being ourselves, that's taking back our power." His words stirred something in me, a mix of fear and defiance. By evening, my hands shook as we entered the Olympic View Pavilion. The venue sparkled, its floor-to-ceiling windows framing Puget Sound, chandeliers glinting above lavish floral displays. My mother spotted us first, her smile faltering. "Layla, this is a private event," she whispered, her tone polite but icy. "I know," I replied, steel in my voice. "But Claire's my sister. I'm here for her." She nodded tightly and moved on, leaving us to navigate the crowd. The night was a slow burn of slights. My father ignored Lucas, focusing on the Caldwells, especially Ethan, seated beside Claire despite her visible discomfort. Guests mistook Lucas for staff, their dismissive glances cutting deeper than words. I clung to his hand, my heart pounding with anger and shame. During my father's toast, the room hushed. "We're celebrating Claire's rise to VP at Nelson Realty," he said, his eyes sliding to Ethan. "A woman who upholds our values and builds the right connections." The subtext was clear. This was a business deal, tying Claire to Ethan's family for profit. My stomach churned. They weren't just rejecting Lucas. They were orchestrating control over us all. As I processed this, Lucas tensed beside me, his gaze fixed on a man across the room, staring at us with an odd intensity. "That's Victor Lang," he whispered, CEO of Ecotech Solutions. Before I could ask why it mattered, Lucas stood. "We need to leave." In the car, Lucas's jaw was tight, the city lights casting shadows across his face. "What was that about?" I asked, my voice sharp with worry. He sighed, glancing at me. "You know my startup's AI project, the one I've been vague about?" I nodded, his environmental impact predictor, a passion he rarely discussed due to NDAs. "It's done," he said. Ecotech Solutions is buying it for $200 million. The deal closes Monday. My breath caught. $200 million? Lucas, that's incredible. His smile was bittersweet. "Victor Lang recognized me tonight. He thought your father knew who I was." My phone buzzed, a flood of notifications, missed calls from my parents, a text from Claire. What did Lucas do? "Dad's freaking out with Lang." I showed Lucas, my mind racing. "They know now," he said, his voice heavy. "I didn't want my work to define us, Layla. That's why I kept it quiet, why I still drive my old Subaru." The pieces clicked. My parents' dismissal, their obsession with status, had blinded them to Lucas's brilliance. Now, a tech titan's recognition exposed their mistake. "They need to face this," I said, an idea forming. "Let's meet them tomorrow at the Olympic View Pavilion." Lucas raised an eyebrow. "You sure?" "Absolutely," I replied, my resolve hardening. "They'll see you for who you are, where our party should have been." That night, my phone rang again, my father, his tone unnervingly warm. "Layla, is Lucas there? I'd love to discuss a partnership. Nelson Realty's entering green tech, and Victor Lang says Lucas's work is groundbreaking." The hypocrisy stung. Hours ago, they'd shunned him. Now, they saw dollar signs. "Brunch tomorrow, 11 a.m., Olympic View Pavilion," I said coolly. "We'll talk then." He agreed eagerly, oblivious to the storm I was planning. Sunday morning, the Olympic View Pavilion glowed in the daylight, its glass walls reflecting Puget Sound's calm ripples. No chandeliers hid the truth today. Lucas and I arrived last, deliberate in our simplicity, he in his usual button-down and jeans, me in a sharp blazer, the graphic designer, not the Nelson heiress. My parents were already there, dressed in their Sunday finest, smiles practiced but strained. Claire sat beside them, her boyfriend Nate at her side, a quiet rebellion I hadn't expected. "Lucas, wonderful to see you," my father boomed, shaking his hand with an enthusiasm he'd never shown before. "Victor Lang spoke highly of your work." My mother nodded, touching Lucas's arm as if they'd always been allies. The shift was jarring, their warmth a facade built on newfound respect for his bank account. We sat, mimosas and coffee served as my father launched into a pitch about synergies between Nelson Realty and Lucas's tech expertise. I let him talk, my pulse steady, the folder in my bag heavy with purpose. When he paused, I slid it across the table. "Before we continue," I said, my voice calm but firm, "let's be clear." I opened the folder, revealing Lucas's acquisition documents. Lucas founded Greenwave AI, acquired tomorrow by Ecotech for $200 million. My father's face paled as he read. My mother's smile froze, her eyes flicking to Lucas. "Nelson Realty pitched Ecotech last year for a green campus project and was turned down, right, Dad?" I added. Silence fell, thick and telling. Claire's eyes widened. Nate suppressed a grin. "Lucas, why didn't you tell us?" my mother stammered. "What? That he's not the nobody you assumed?" I said, my tone sharp. "You judged him for his clothes, his car, his roots. You canceled our party because he didn't fit your world." The truth hung heavy, their shame exposed in the morning light. The silence at the brunch table stretched, my parents' polished facades crumbling. My father cleared his throat, his usual confidence faltering. "We may have misjudged," he said stiffly. "Lucas's achievements are impressive." My mother jumped in, her voice too bright. "We'd love to host a proper engagement party, Layla, at the pavilion, no expense spared." I looked at Lucas, his steady gaze giving me strength. "No, thank you," I said, standing. "We're celebrating next Saturday at the Fremont Brewery rooftop, with people who see us for who we are, not what we're worth." My voice trembled, not with fear but with clarity. "I didn't come to change your minds about value. I came so you'd see what you lost, not just a brilliant son-in-law, but a daughter who needed your love, not your judgment." Claire's eyes glistened, her hand tight around Nate's. I wondered if she saw herself in my defiance, trapped by the same expectations I'd escaped. My parents sat frozen, their empire's weight no match for the truth I'd laid bare. Lucas took my hand, his touch grounding me as we walked out of the pavilion, the waterfront sparkling behind us. The air felt lighter, each step a release from the chains of their approval. Back home, I finalized our party plans, my heart full despite the ache of leaving my family behind. Lucas sat beside me, his laptop open to our guest list. "You were incredible today," he said, his voice soft. "I just spoke my truth," I replied, leaning into him. "Our truth." The brewery rooftop waited, a canvas for our love, painted in the colors of a life we'd chosen, not inherited. The following Saturday, the Fremont Brewery rooftop glowed under string lights, Seattle's skyline a backdrop to our engagement party. Friends filled the space, their laughter mingling with the clink of glasses and the hum of a local band. I wore a simple dress, my watercolor invitations framed on tables, each one a piece of my heart. Lucas stood beside me, his hand in mine, his smile brighter than the city lights. This was us raw, real, surrounded by people who'd cheered our journey, from my nonprofit colleagues to Lucas's startup team. No chandeliers, no society guest lists, just love that didn't need a pedigree. As the night unfolded, I spoke to our guests, my voice steady but thick with emotion. "Thank you for being here, for seeing us, for celebrating a love my family couldn't understand." Lucas squeezed my hand, his own words following, simple but powerful. "Layla's my home, and you're our family now." Cheers erupted, glasses raised, and for the first time in weeks, my chest felt light. We danced under the stars, the city's pulse syncing with ours. A friend snapped a photo of us, Lucas's arm around me, the skyline framing our joy. It was the celebration I dreamed of, not at the pavilion but here, where every moment felt true. Later, as we cleaned up, Lucas pulled me close. "This is just the start, Layla," he whispered. I nodded, my heart full. My parents' world was behind me, but ahead lay a life we'd build together, brick by brick on our terms. In the days after our party, my phone stayed quiet, no calls from my parents, no texts from Claire. The silence stung, but it also freed me. I threw myself into my work, designing a campaign for a local environmental nonprofit, my art reflecting the values Lucas and I shared. He was busier too, finalizing his deal with Ecotech, but every night we came home to our Capitol Hill apartment, cooking dinner together, laughing over small moments. Our life wasn't perfect, but it was ours, built on choices that felt right. I framed the photo from our party, hanging it above our couch, a reminder of the family we'd found in friends, in each other. One evening, Claire texted, "I'm sorry, Layla. I'm trying to find my way out too." I stared at the words, hope flickering but guarded. Maybe she'd break free, maybe not, but I couldn't carry her choices anymore. I replied, "I'm here when you're ready," and let it go. My parents' world, with its glittering facades and empty promises, no longer defined me. Lucas and I were planning our wedding now, a small ceremony by Lake Washington, with vows we'd write ourselves. Each step forward felt like a victory, not over them, but for us. I'd fought for my truth, and in Lucas's eyes, I saw the future we'd create, a canvas of love, resilience, and purpose. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've walked with me through betrayal, defiance, and the courage to choose my own path. If my story resonated, hit that subscribe button and join us, where every moment tells a tale of heart, hustle, and starting anew. Keep painting your own truth, and I'll meet you on the other side of the canvas.